me. I really appreciate it. Let's see. I'm going to be able to share my presentation in just a moment. Looks like, there we go, there's my permission. And it's popping up. Almost there. Let's get that running. All right, ready to go for, nope, wrong screen. Oh, there we are. All right, ready to go for the morning. Here we are. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Good morning. I hope you're safe wherever you are. I know that these outer bands of the storm are moving through, and I don't know about you, but it looks like a wind tunnel outside my window. But we're here together, and we're going to weather it together. My name's Patty Baum-Hayden. I'm one of the Senior Assistant Directors of Admissions at UNC Chapel Hill. I must warn you, I am wonderfully biased. I did go to UNC for undergrad. I stayed for graduate school, and then I started working there. So I've been in Chapel Hill for about 17 years now. I know a lot about the campus community, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Shortly after this presentation, I am going to bump over to our Zoom chat that we have going on. One of my colleagues is there right now answering questions, and I'll be joining her to answer your additional questions. So feel free to pop over there after this. After you've watched the other sessions, of course, you want to learn about all of our other institutions that are here today. Make sure that you have a wide variety of options, that you're thinking through all of your options, not just one institution. So what we're going to do today is talk a little bit more about our students that we have here at UNC. We're also going to talk more about the application itself. I'm going to share a few things about UNC Chapel Hill that make it a really unique place and make it a place where students really like to be. Students tend to come and stay. We have one of the highest retention rates in the country. That's something we're really proud of. We'll also run through our application deadlines and talk a bit more about financial aid. So let's start off by talking a little bit more about our student body. I want to preface this by saying that we are very proudly the oldest public university in the United States. That's something that we take very seriously. It's a responsibility that we believe we have to the state of North Carolina. UNC Chapel Hill and the UNC system exists to better the lives of North Carolinians. That's the entire point, right? So everything that we do is going to have some aspect to it where we're really focusing on the state of North Carolina and the people in the state of North Carolina. We're looking to make their experiences better. We're looking at the types of cancer that affect North Carolinians at the highest rates, and that's what UNC Chapel Hill's Cancer Center is most focusing on. We're looking at economic development in rural communities. That's what UNC Chapel Hill's Keenan Flagler School of Business is working on. We're also looking at global opportunities because we know that North Carolina, while wonderful, and I'm very proud to be a North Carolinian, won't survive if we only rely on our own. We do need to have not just partners all over the United States, but partners all over the world. So Carolina truly is a global research university. I think that you're going to find that if you decide to come to Carolina, you're going to find our public identity woven throughout your time at UNC. One way will really be in the community that you find at Carolina. We're bringing people in from all different backgrounds across all 4 years. We do have students from all 100 counties, all 50 states, most of the US territories, as well as 70 different countries. That's something that we're exceptionally proud of. Of course, 82% of the class comes from North Carolina, as does the class at most of our other sister schools across the UNC system. That is our requirement. In some cases, there is more than 82% at some other system schools, which is great. And we're, of course, here to serve you. Now, of our first year students this year, so these stats that you see on the slide are just for this year's first year class. You will see that nearly 18% of our student body will be the very first in their families to graduate with a 4-year bachelor's degree. That's huge, and that's a big deal. And if that's you, I hope that you're taking some time to be really proud of what you've accomplished. You've gotten to the point where you're applying to college. That's a major milestone. I bet your family's really proud of you. I know that we in Chapel Hill are really proud of you. And you're going to do a lot of wonderful work, not just for your family, but for yourself. And I think that that's fantastic. So congratulations on getting to this point. Not only is nearly 20% of our student body going to be the first in their family to graduate from college, but also nearly 20% of our student body are coming back to Carolina after their parents attended Carolina. We have 5th generation Tar Heels. We have students who will be not just the first in their families, but the first in their entire family, not just their immediate family, to go to college, and we've got everything in between. Like I mentioned, our students are coming from all over the world. We do have just under 5% of our students this year enrolling as international students. What I love about that is that students at UNC tend to really gravitate toward them. We actually have a process where first year students can raise their hand and say, I'd like to live with a global roommate, meaning someone who's lived abroad and spent time abroad. Typically it's an international student. Sometimes that might be a US citizen who's lived abroad their entire life. And we have more students volunteering to live with our global students than we have global students. So there's this really neat energy that students have about learning about people and cultures and life experiences that are different from their own. And that's a really big part of the UNC experience, that sense that you're learning from other people. If you decide to come to Carolina, one of your responsibilities will be to share more about the experiences that you've had in your life. We want you to share more about your opinions on the world. We want you to share more about your thoughts. What do you think? What's your opinion? What's going on with you? We want to know about that, because you will therefore be able to teach other people about your reality. We think that's really important for them to learn. On the flip side, you're going to listen to their reality when they share it with you. The reason why all of this matters is because we want you to be able to go out and make a real difference in the world when you graduate. I'm not going to say that we're going to turn you into leaders, because if you're coming to UNC Chapel Hill, you're already a leader. We know that. You're already great. Instead, we want to hone those leadership skills, and we want to ensure that you can actually make a real difference when you leave. You're not going to be able to change the world if you don't understand the way the world works. How do you learn the way the world works? Well, one, you experience it, but two, you also talk with people who are different from you. We think that that's really important. So diversity is a big part of our mission. It's a big part of our identity as the oldest public university in the country. So that's a little bit more about our student body. Let's talk now a bit more about the types of things that students are doing. I think that you'll find our public identity really woven throughout your academic experience as well. You see here on this slide the different careers that students eventually want to have. These are top career interests, which I appreciate. I also really appreciate on here that undecided is listed. You'll notice that. I think that's wonderful. You are not expected to know what you're going to do with the rest of your life when you're 17 years old. Now, some of you may know, and that's great. You're way better than I ever was when I went to college. I had no clue what I wanted to major in. I had no clue what career I wanted to be. My mom was a librarian. My dad was an accountant. I knew what those things were. My uncle was an engineer, but I didn't really know what went into that. That was the experience I had, that and teaching, because I had teachers in front of me. I knew about doctors. I knew about lawyers. I knew about all the big careers that you hear about. There are tons of other careers that you can have. There are tons of other areas you can go into. There's more than just a biology major at UNC. Now, biology is one of our most popular majors, but it's one of over 70 different programs that we offer. Typically in your high school, you have anywhere from maybe 20 to 25 subjects. But when you get to Carolina, we really hope that you take some time to explore all these other subject areas that you have either heard about or maybe you didn't even know it existed. So that's why I really appreciate those students who are honest with us and say, I don't know yet what I want to be when I grow up, because that's okay. At UNC, again, with our public identity, that really sets a bit more with our academic structure. So all students who come into Carolina come into the broader College of Arts and Sciences, and they're coming into the General College of Arts and Sciences. During their time in the General College, that's where you spend your first 2 years before you spend your last 2 years working on your major. You take courses across multiple subject areas. This fulfills our graduation requirements. And there are lots of different types of courses that you can take. For example, we do have a history requirement. For our North Atlantic history requirement, our outside of the North Atlantic history requirement, there are over 500 courses that fulfill each of those requirements that are taught at UNC, and not all of them are in the history department. So you can really take a wide breadth of courses. If you already know what it is you want to do and you've got your career path set, you can find the course that best fits that and take that course to not only fulfill that requirement, but to also broaden the way you're thinking about your field that you already know you're most interested in. So there are lots of things that you can do at UNC. Feel free to take detours. Feel free to study abroad in an area that you never thought you would go to. Feel free to study abroad taking courses that you never thought you would take. Explore research opportunity in an area that you might not have known would exist. Over 60% of our students do undergraduate research. It's not always connected to their major, and that's okay. The experience is what's most important. That's what's going to build your resume and your skill set and be really, really interesting, really attractive to future employers. Same thing with study abroad. Having a global experience is a really important part of your formation and your identity. You learn so much when you go abroad. And about 60% of our students also choose to go abroad. It's closer to about 58%, so it's just under 60% of our students will do that. It's about 61% doing research, 58% studying abroad. And we have over 350 programs in over 75 different countries. So I hope you decide to go. We also have over 900 different student-led organizations. And student organizations can be fun and silly and just for fun, and that's fine, go for it. I was in some that were just for fun, but they can also be serious and have really important missions. You might also have a job when you're on campus, perhaps a work-study job. All of those things together, in addition to your academic experience, is what makes you a really well-rounded job candidate. And of course, at the end of the day, you are going to have to leave after 4 years. You do need to graduate. And you're either going to go on to graduate school or you're going to get a job. So feel free to take your time while you're at Carolina, exploring all these different interest areas, and take those detours. Those are really important. So let's talk a little bit more now about our application process. We really view the application process as adding to and strengthening the Carolina community. I will be very blunt with you. All of you who apply are wonderful. Now, that's not to scare you. I think a lot of students hear that and think, well, I don't know. I think I'm on the edge. I don't know if I'll get in. Maybe I'm not one of the wonderful ones. And that's not at all what I am saying. You are wonderful and you're enough. You've done enough. All right. You should be really proud of what it is you've done and what you've accomplished. You should feel good about where you are. Last year, we got just over 44,000 applications for admission. And I would say probably 95% of those students could walk right into Carolina and could rock out. They could all be great. All of them would be wonderful at UNC. So we approach the application process a little differently from some of our peer institutions. Instead of just saying which students are the best, because that doesn't work, all of you are the best. Instead, what we're doing is saying what combination of students together will come together as a class and can do more together than any of them could do individually. I liken it to sports tryouts. If any of you perhaps have run soccer tryouts with the coach, pretend you're the team captain, you're running tryouts with the coach. If all you do is select every student with giant quads and giant calf muscles, you will have a powerful physically team, but you probably won't win very many games because you won't know how to pass the ball. You won't have the person who gets the team to focus during huddles and timeouts. You won't have the team to be able to consult, the person on the team to consult with the coach. You won't have the person who knows how to hang back. You won't have the person who can do fancy footwork on the field. You won't have the person who can crack a joke at the right time and lighten the mood. You need all of those types of people. And one type of strength, quad strength, is not better or worse than the person who can crack the joke and lighten the mood. All of those things are valuable and really important, right? So you need a combination. You need some breadth there. That's what we're doing. Same thing, I would liken it also to dramatic arts auditions, right? If any of you have ever run auditions for a play, you may know that in your school you have the star actor or actress, and they get the lead for everything. But a play might come along where they actually would not be the best fit for that lead role. They might be better in a supporting role, or perhaps in the company of that show. Someone else might just be the better fit for that role. It's not because that person's not talented, just wasn't the right fit. You see what I mean? So we're looking for the right fit. So an admit decision to Carolina means that we think you, along with the other people together, will make a great class. We think that's the right combination. If you're not admitted to Carolina, it doesn't mean that you're not wonderful. It means that the combination based on whoever else applied that year didn't make sense. You could have gotten in the year prior, you could have gotten in the year after, who knows, right? So that's frustrating to some people, but I hope it also provides you with some relief. At some point, there's nothing else you can do. You're wonderful as you are. So these are all the things that we're looking at. You do fill out either the common application or the coalition application, either one. You also have to fill out the residency application through Residency Determination Service. Include that RCN on your application. We'll take care of it. There's the application fee. That's $85. If your family can't afford that, no problem. We do offer fee waivers. Typically, fee waivers are granted to students who qualify for free or reduced price lunch. They might have received a fee waiver to take the SAT through the College Board. Simply checking on the application that you're applying with a fee waiver and selecting the fee waiver option is not enough to get a fee waiver at UNC. You still need to go to your high school guidance counselor and have them send in the fee waiver documents. Once they do that, we can process it with no issue. Then on the application itself, we're going to look at your extracurricular activities and what you've done with your time outside of class, the long essay that's on both of those applications, and then the 2 short answers that are specific to UNC Chapel Hill. Now, I spend a lot of time saying that we want you to be able to change the world when you graduate. You will be able to change the world when you graduate, and that we want you to understand the way the world works. We're also looking for the right combination of students, right? How do we know that we're getting students who together will complement each other, who will be similar in many ways, different in many ways, who will be able to share these different life experiences? How do we know that we're able to do that? It's really through those parts of your application. Your extracurriculars, your essays, and your short answers. We learn a lot about you there. Remember that your extracurriculars, it's anything you do with your time outside of class. It's working a job, it's caring for siblings, it's being involved in a community organization, a religious organization, it's being on a club at school, it's being on a sports team, it's playing an instrument, it's being a theater kid like I was. Lots of different things go into that. So tell us what you've done with your time, and don't just say, I did this thing. That is great, but I'm going to want to understand why you did that. There are thousands of volunteer opportunities out there and thousands of organizations that need your help. So if you decide to volunteer, for example, why did you choose that organization? Why do you care about them? What's your motivation? Why do they think your time is helpful and valuable? Why should I care that you care, right? So we're trying to understand the way you think, the way you approach things, what you're motivated by, what gets you excited. So don't just state, I volunteered at, I built houses for Habitat for Humanity. Tell us why you care about Habitat for Humanity so much and why that's a meaningful organization. You see what I mean? So that's what we're going for. In your essays and your short answers, we're really just trying to learn more about you. You essentially have 3 chances to tell us something that we're not going to learn about you from the rest of your application. So this is an opportunity to tell us more about those life experiences. And in fact, our short answer prompts really get at your experience and the way you've moved through your world. One of them will ask you, tell us about what, if you could change one thing where you live, what would you change and why? That tells us a lot about how you define where you live. How do you see your world? What do you identify as a problem? How are you thinking creatively to potentially solve it, right? Tells us a lot. Another one asks you rather to share a bit more with us about an aspect of your identity, whatever that may be, that you think will really contribute to the Carolina community. Another one asks you to highlight a community builder, someone who you think's really, really good at that, and how they've made a difference in your life and why you emulate them. So those are your opportunities to tell us more about your experience overall, okay? Finally, the last thing I want to point out here on the part that you submit is Excel at Carolina. This is a fabulous opportunity for you to be considered for special opportunities at UNC. Excel at Carolina is the name of the umbrella organization that has about 17 different programs underneath it, and you on the application can opt in to being considered and reviewed for each of those. One of those includes honors. There is also a whole host and selection of assured enrollment into one of our professional schools. Like I mentioned, all students start in the College of Arts and Sciences. You either declare a major in the College of Arts and Sciences at the end of your 2nd year, or during your 2nd year, you apply to a professional school. If you're offered assured enrollment, you're automatically admitted at that point. As long as you meet their minimum requirements, you're good to go. There are also scholarships on there. There's a grant to do study abroad. You get $5,000 to study abroad one summer you're at UNC. There's the Chancellor Science Scholarship. That's $20 grand. It's a lot of money if you're interested in the STEM fields and you want to go on and get a PhD in STEM. So take a look at all of those. A lot of students just select, no, I'm not interested, no, I'm not interested, because they're exhausted after filling out the application. But you're giving up a lot by not taking the extra 10 minutes to fill that out. So please fill that out. Then, of course, you're going to request a letter of recommendation from a teacher that you've had at your school. You're going to request your secondary school statement. That's done by your counselor. That's not a letter of recommendation. We know that your counselor has a 500-person caseload and may not know you necessarily. So we're not expecting you to have a personalized counselor letter. We are expecting a personalized teacher letter. And we want to understand what you're like in the classroom. What are you like as an academic and an intellectual and a member of your school community? So think about the person who can help you tell your story in that realm. That's who should write your letter. And then finally, your transcript. Of course, we're going to look at your courses and your grades. We're not focused on your GPA. We're not focused on your class rank. Those are easily manipulated and can be finagled. So we're not looking at the average. We're looking at the raw data that gets you the average, because the raw data is where the information actually is that we're looking for. Did you take a rigorous course load? Did you do well in it? That's what we want to know. All right. So those are the pieces of the application that we especially require. Let's talk now a bit more about some quick COVID-19 updates. One thing I want to mention is that on the Common App and on the Coalition app this year, there is a question specifically about COVID-19. So if you want to talk about the impact that COVID has had on your life, talk about it here. It's in response to this question, not in your regular essays. Keep those 3 essay, 2 short answer opportunities to talk more about you, because you've lived an entire life before COVID hit. We're really interested in that life, not just the fact that you've been home from school and that it's been difficult. All right. So if there has been something really difficult related to COVID that's happened, I hope no one in your family has had COVID, but if someone did, if you've had COVID, I hope not, but if you have, we want to hear about it. We want to know about how it's impacted your life, how it's impacted your role. Tell us about it there. Of course, you know that the UNC system has approved a 1-year testing waiver for the SAT or ACT, so that's not required at all. If you have scores that you're proud of, I encourage you to submit those. You would self-report them to us on your application. We won't be reviewing any officially reported scores. That's to protect students who took the score last year, or took the test rather last year, sent us their score, and it's not quite as high as they would have wanted it to be. So we're not going to review that. So anything officially submitted, we won't review. We're only going to look at self-reported. Juniors, sophomores, first years, if you're watching, you probably will need to submit a test score next year. So this is only for current seniors. Finally, we know some of you got pass grades. Some of you may have taken the PC-19 or passed. You may have also withdrawn from a course. We're not going to make any assumptions about what that pass grade is. A pass is a pass. We're not going to sit there and wonder, does that mean they were failing, or they barely got a D and so they got the pass? We're not going to do that. All right. We won't know what it is. We're going to know you did what you had to do to pass the class. And finally, we know that your activities have been canceled. So have mine, and I miss them, and I know you miss them too. So know that everyone is in the same boat when they're applying this year. It's not just you who's missed out on things. We're going to read applications sympathetically in that sense. So let's talk a bit more about our deadlines. We do have an early action deadline of October 15th. So if you're a senior and you did not apply yet, that deadline's already passed. Our regular decision deadline, though, is coming up on January 15th. So you've got plenty of time to decide whether or not you'd like to apply. Additionally, in addition to first-year applicants, students will take lots of different paths to come to Carolina, and some will decide to transfer to UNC instead after spending 1 or 2 years at another institution. That's a great way to join the Chapel Hill family. Each year, we enroll about 800 or 900 transfer students, so we bring in a great class each year. We only have 1 application deadline for transfer students. That's February 15th. Now, when it comes to your decisions, if you applied to Carolina Early Action, so by that October deadline, you'll get a decision by the end of January. If you applied regular decision, you'll get a decision by the end of March, and transfer students usually find out in mid-April. All of you have until May 1st to enroll. So we're going to talk briefly now about financial aid as well. Keep in mind that with financial aid, you do have to fill out 2 forms to be considered for financial aid at UNC. Nearly every university in the country, college or university, is going to require the FAFSA. That's the free application for federal student aid. All right. The second application that we need from you in order to review you for financial aid is the CSS profile. That stands for the College Scholarship Search profile. That is a College Board document, and it does cost money to fill out. It costs $25 to fill out. And then if you're applying to more than one school that requires it, you get 1 score report with that $25, and then it costs $16 additional for every other school that you send it to. If you need a fee waiver for that, you can reach out to the College Board and get one, or reach out to our financial aid office. We'll be happy to provide you with one. All right. Get those documents to us by March 1st, and as long as you do that, we promise that we will meet 100% of your demonstrated need. Carolina cares deeply about financial aid. We have one of the best financial aid programs in the country. We're also considered to be the #1 value in the country for, I believe, the 18th or 19th year in a row at this point. We think that students who earn their place here should have the ability to come here regardless of their ability to pay. So we're going to make sure that we do everything we can to make Carolina as affordable as we possibly can, as long as you demonstrate financial need. You do need to get those again to us by March 1st, but if you applied early, I recommend going ahead and doing them now. Both of those documents opened up on October 1st, and as long as you get those submitted to us, everything's in, everything's correct. We don't need to make any changes. You're not selected for verification by the federal government, which I can answer questions about later on in our Zoom if you have questions about that. Then we can typically turn a financial aid package around within about a week of you getting in. So if you'd like to know your financial aid package in early February instead of in whenever that might be, mid-March, go ahead and get those financial aid documents in. We'd be more than happy to get that going. Also, all of you are automatically reviewed for scholarships when you apply for admission. And for scholarships, we're not going to focus on academic credentials so much, because if you're getting in, you're smart. You're doing just fine academically. We're not worried about you. Instead of looking at a GPA or test score the way that many schools do, instead we're going to focus in on those extracurricular activities, on your, we're going to also focus in on your teacher recommendations. We're really looking for students who are going to make a difference at UNC. So how are you going to move our classrooms forward? How are you going to move our campus community forward? What impact will you make? So we're looking for students who have gone above and beyond what the average 17-year-old has done. If you have any questions about financial aid at all, please feel free to reach out to our financial aid office. They have a ton of resources on their website, like a chatbot to help you find answers quickly. They also have FAFSA videos if you need help filling out the FAFSA. They've got FAQs. They've got all sorts of things. They'd be happy to chat with you. So that's a little bit more about our process. So thank you so much for your kind attention today. I really appreciate your time. If you have any questions that you're not able to ask today, please feel free to email us. This is our office's email address. You can also find that on our website. You're also welcome to give us a call. I hope you think I'm friendly. Admissions officers are we're just people. We're not all knowing and all powerful like a lot of people think. I'm friendly. Feel free to chat with me anytime. I'm going to hang out for just a couple of minutes here, and then I'm going to pop over to our Zoom meeting. So if you have any other questions, once all the presenters are done, feel free to come over to the Zoom meeting. We'll be happy to help you out. Thank you so much for your time today, everyone. Have a good one. Take care.